Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you back to some more racing here in F1 Total Division 1. We are here for the 8th round of this 17th season. We are here for the Spanish Grand Prix and we are almost about to end the first half of this season. A season made up of 18 races. This is now race number 8, and after next week's race, that's gonna be number 9, is gonna be the first half of the season done. But we are already starting to see some pattern, especially in the standings. As Car Tracer, no surprise, he is leading the standings with a gap of 34 points on Jeremy down in P2, who very recently took P2 in the standings after taking it away from Alex, who actually suffered 2 DNFs in a row in Singapore and at Silverstone. The most recent race we've had at Silverstone, it was the 250th race in Division 1. We celebrated that by racing with 100% race distance, and it went unfortunately very wrong for Alex, resulting in a DNF by no fault of his own. He had a brake failure. But he's back here to try and make up for it. But he's sitting in P3 in the standings, 39 points away from the leader. Felix, on the other hand, is in P4, sitting 50 points away from the leader. We have Sean, 73 points, but that's already quite a big gap. We have Sully, who has only attended 3 races. He's making his return. He's driving for his team, Aston Martin. In the meanwhile, the drivers are already starting their first laps of this session. It's gonna be Felix in a Haas who set the first lap here in qualifying around Spain. We have also on the grid we have Morgan making its return after quite a few races he's missed. Actually, his most recent one was Singapore, so not too long ago, but he only attended 3 races this season. This is gonna be his 4th, and plenty of time. 15 minutes and a half on the clock, and we should expect pole position times around maybe, I would say, high 11s, or if we wanna aim for the absolute fastest lap ever, we might aim for mid 11s. My pole position time was an 11.8. Felix sets as a banker lap at 12.015, and there's the Red Bull just behind him who's actually starting the lap. So is the Aston Martin of Sully just behind. We do have the Williams of Owais, the American driver, now going around turn 13 and 14. It's been now the 3rd year that Spain had this layout where turn 10 has been made a lot wider and a lot longer, and the chicane has been removed, so it's 2 flat out right-handers. Turn 13 and 14 makes the track a lot more faster, a lot more flowing, but also makes Dirtier a lot more of a problem. It was very much of a problem in the Division 2 race. Overtaking was very difficult because you just have to trail other cars while suffering a severe loss of downforce. In the meanwhile, Alex has definitely set it up that is not representative of his pace. He's 18 seconds off of the lead. We have Sully, who is going round now, turn 7 and 8, 2 of the most difficult corners of the entire track. Now flat out into turn 9 we go. DRS enabled for the Aston Martin driver as he finishes sector 2 with a lap time of 51.034, and late on the brakes, sending the car very deep into turn 10, uphill into 11 and 12, downshift into the 3rd gear, stay on inside as much as possible and get a good traction to go flat out into turn 13 and 14 right now, staying in 7th gear and absolutely sending the car. Lots of downforce is required around here, and Sally sets a lap good enough for P3, currently almost 4/10 off of pole position from Felix. Car Tracer as well has set a lap and is only a 10th and a half away from Felix's best. So no drivers going down into the 11s as of now. Will we see anything different from Morgan? Maybe, or maybe not now because he has invalidated. We have the Ferrari of Coco River who also has invalidated. Alex has said another lap now, sitting P3 out of Sully's hands, and he has a lap 2/10 and a half away from his teammate, currently sitting in P1. And as you can see, not really the best of attendances for today, only 10 drivers. It might be probably the lowest attendance we've had this season so far. which I mean is not bad. It's not bad the fact that only once I believe we've reached an attendance of 10 drivers. Obviously not optimal when we see something like that, but um, yeah, I don't think it will impact the racing as much. I think we'll definitely still have an exciting close fight, and maybe not a fight that will be decided on track with overtakes. I think it's gonna have to do a lot with strategy. It's definitely gonna be a one-stop, but undercutting tire wear and dirt here, a lot of factors that really can decide the win around here. And again, overtaking is very difficult. So I mean, it's difficult not because of the track, it's difficult because of the dirty air. If you just keep trailing another car, it's gonna be very hard to follow them and to have a run at any corner. You still have two DRS zones, that's the start finish line, and then between turn 9 and turn 10 you can still attempt to move, but again, it's not gonna be the easiest thing in the world. In the meanwhile, we did see, I think, Don joining us today, joining late in qualifying. I think he's yet to take control of his car for tonight, which is, I'm gonna check the briefing real quick. He should take over the Alpine, as well as Marco Darko, who should drive for the Alpine today, but he's missing. And also Edwin, who should drive for VCAP tonight, but he's returning from a trip away from his driving setup. He's not guaranteed to make it home in time. If he does, it's gonna be one heck of a challenge with absolutely no practice. There we go, Don reserving in the Alpine, now going up to 11 drivers. But now we are watching the other Aston Martin, that's Jeremy, P2 in the standings, going around turn 7 and 8, and now into turn 9, flat out into this fast right-hander, get the line right, get the DRS right, and he sets a lap much faster than his teammate at 50.7 after sector 2. That's a difference of about 3/10. If he finds even more time around sector 3, this might be a lap good enough for pole position. Let's see what the German driver in the Aston Martin can do. Around turn 14 he goes right now, opens DRS for the last straight of the track, and Jeremy sets a 12.070, awfully close to the 12.015 of Felix. It's good enough for P2. Puts himself between Felix and Car Tracer, so that's definitely a good starting position as of now. 9 minutes and a half are left on the clock, so there's plenty of time to improve that. Morgan as well is going around turn 2 and 3 right now. And he has a McLaren ahead of him. That's gonna be Sean in his outlap. And you can see Morgan absolutely aggressive as much as possible on the steering wheel, and now going downhill into turn 5, a very difficult corner where a lot of steering and rotation can be made from the pedals instead of the steering and the downforce, and now sending it through turn 7 and 8, uphill into 9, flat out into 9, staying in 6th gear all the way through, DRS enabled and some overtake, and finishing sector 2 with a massive lap time at 50.3. that might be good enough for pole position, but he actually slightly misses the apex going uphill into turn 12. There might be some time lost for the Red Bull driver, and now downhill into 13 and 14, both of them flat out, 7th gear, DRS enabled, and some overtake across the line. It's gonna be an 11.780, and Morgan has provisionally set the fastest lap of all divisions. It's faster than the pole position time in Division 2. That's an 11.780, and just as I predicted, we are between the territory of the mid 11s and the high 11s. And Morgan has now definitely stepped up the game for everyone else around here. Which means that to take pole position, if you're Felix, you're gonna have to gain at least 2 tenths and a half. But now we can see the Space Cowboy Alex setting a lap good enough for P3, just 20 thousandths of a second behind his teammate, but still 2 tenths and a half off of pole position. And look at these gaps between Felix, Alex, and Jeremy. Between Felix in P2 and Jeremy in P4, that's exactly 55 thousandths of a second. Could that be any different as Kyle Tracer is pushing his Chrome McLaren across the track around turn 6 and then uphill into 7th and 8th? Again, one of the most difficult corners of the track because it is so easy to oversteer your car on the curbs, and also on the overall input you need to have. But Kyle Tracer sets a sector 2 split time, good enough for Morgan, improving by a 10.5 and setting a second sector purple. And it's a 50.3 just as Morgan. Let's see if he pushes even more around the last sector. Flat out into turn 14. He goes. The German driver in the McLaren, the championship leader, sets a lap. Good enough for pole position, and now he sets the new track record around the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, an 11.732 for the McLaren driver, and sets once again a new standard and a new target for pole position around here. And we have 6 drivers in 3 tenths. That is absolutely lovely to see. Now the only driver to have not set up is Bazooka in the Williams, but he's about to change that right now, and I suspect it might be, actually that's penultimate position, P10, 1.2 seconds of a pole position, 3 tenths behind his teammate. Always the 2 Williams boys, always as close as they can be to each other in every single session. We have Sully, who I don't understand if he's doing a double out lap or if it's in his in lap. Okay, that's an in lap. So Sully is pitting, Bazooka will pit soon, Jeremy will come out to the pits. He's actually already out of the pit soon. So he's really the only driver we can watch at the moment. Five minutes left to go here in qualifying, and at the moment it is Kyle Tracer sitting on pole position, but with a very close contender, just 48 thousandths of a second just behind him. But now we can comment at the lap around Spain with the onboard of Jeremy, currently sitting in P6, DRS enabled and using a lot of battery on the main straight. And now into turn 1 we go, taking a lot of curves, staying on the inside as much as possible, 4th gear, exiting turn 1 and flat out for this very long turn 3, staying in 6th gear, 7th gear just before the braking for turn 4, and Jeremy already finds an improvement of 162 thousandths of a second. Now going around turn 4 and downhill, braking for turn 5 and going very wide on the exit, just barely inside the track limits, but now into turn 7 and 8, staying in 5th gear and deploying some battery and having a little bit of an oversteer, going around turn 7 and 8, now flat out into turn 9, DRS enabled, the overtake mode once again, and finishing sector 2 for Jeremy is going to be a 50.431, improving by 2 tenths and 73 thousandths of a second. That's a split time, maybe not good enough for pole position, but maybe he could place himself ahead of Felix. Let's see now, going downhill, flat out into 13, 7th gear, flat out once again into turn 14 and deploying even more battery. DRS enabled for Jeremy is going to be a lap, good enough, just as I predicted, 4P3, 123 thousandths of a second away from pole position for Jeremy. Sean is going to be looking forward to improve as well with the Aston, no, that's the Alpine actually, the Alpine just behind him, and he might actually get some slipstream or some dirt. Yeah, let's see. He's definitely getting a toe on the straight, but let's see if he's gonna suffer some downforce loss around the corners. So in the meanwhile, Sean has settled up, but not good enough for an improvement, so he stays down in 7th. Don as well, he has improved by a second, but he is still very much off the pace, 2 seconds of a pole position, and still in last place behind the 2 Williams boys. But now everyone is on the outlaps, and Jeremy has retired in the pits, so he's confident he's not gonna improve that whatsoever. But Morgan is pushing right now. Morgan, he is now 48 thousandths away from pole position. He's going around turn 3 to try and improve that. Let's see, after set 1, do we already have an improvement? We do not. He's 51 thousandths behind his previous best. He actually abandons the lap. So this might be the end of Morgan's qualifying session and the end of his chance for pole position. This might be a chance for Felix, who is pushing. So is Alex, so is Sully. And so is Kartracer right now, who has DRS enabled and deploying some battery on main straight, reaching a top speed of 332 kilometers per hour, downshifting into 4th gear, and absolutely sending the car to the absolute edge of the track limits. Now going this very long turn 3. Do we see an improvement after set 1? We do not. He's down by only 2 thousandths of a second, so there's still a chance to find some time as the lap goes on. Now breaking downhill, downshifting into 3rd gear and getting a good exit out of turn 5. Downshifting now downhill into turn 6. Felix has set a lap good enough for pole position, and that's a lap identical to Kartracer on 11.731. Or actually, he's 1,000th of a second faster, but never mind, Alex beats that, sets out a 7:07, and Kartracer has a slide, and that's the end of his lap. He's not able to improve as he has an oversteer moment going around turn 11, so that's the end of Kartracer's qualifying session. But the 2 Haas's boys absolutely pulling out a masterclass here in qualifying. Alex claims pole position, a 1:11.707, and he sets the track record across both divisions. So Felix just behind, a 7:31 behind his teammate, and only 1,000th of a second faster than his long-time rival. Morgan in the gravel was not able to improve, neither was Kartracer. Jeremy didn't even try to improve. Sully will start from P6, and Sean with a 1 minute and 12.208 starting in P7, just a little bit less than 2 tenths behind our always in P8. Guga River in P9 splits the 2 Williams apart. Bazooka will start in P10 and Don in last in P11. But your pole sitter around Spain will be the Space Cowboy. Alex the G in the Haas leads a Haas 1-2 here in qualifying. It's a Haas on pole position in both divisions, and you absolutely love to see it. So now it's only about finalizing it in the race. So that's qualifying done. The drivers are still out on track, but that's the grid done. So we are just waiting for everything to go on as normal. So there we go. That's finally the complete showcase of the qualifying results. Alex will start on pole position with his teammate just behind, and look at those gaps. 24,000, 25,000, 73,000, and then we go in P5 with Jeremy in Aston Martin, the first driver to have more of a tenth of a gap, an 11.855. Sally leads the drivers into the 112s. Zone will be the only driver to go into the 113s. But we have, once again, a German top 3. We're very much used to see that. I mean, we're just always so used to see a German top 3 in Division 1, and then an Italian top 3 in Division 2. Those are pretty much the two countries that have been dominating the two divisions respectively. And I think we'll be all dry. Thankfully in Division 2 as well, it was all dry. After having so many races, all of them pretty much in a row, having so many rain races, Spain was not the first one, but the first one after a long time to have all dry weather. And I haven't been informed about anything in the chat, so I assume it's gonna be all dry in Division 1 as well. And that was a very quick startup. We are already witnessing the formation lap, and we have some drivers on the softs. Morgan starting in the top 4. He is starting on the softs, and this can only mean one thing: he's going for a 2-stopper. And I can already say that's not the optimal strategy around here. 1 stop clears. The game suggests 2 stop, but 1 stop absolutely clears around Spain. You definitely need some management, that's for sure, but that's absolutely the fastest strategy. There's no way to get around that. If you're starting on the softs, you can't even gamble on a soft hard. It's just not gonna be possible. There's gotta be a 2-stop for Morgan. He might have already screwed himself up with the strategy, but the rest is starting on the mediums. I did see someone else on the hards and the softs as well. But there we go. The 5 red lights are on, and it's lights out, and away we go for the Spanish Grand Prix. And it looks to be an okay start for Alex. Definitely a horrible start for Felix, who already loses P3, or actually P2. Down to Calchese, but now he goes side by side with Morgan, and Felix with a terrible start. He goes up into before. Alex goes off the track. He goes off turn 1, and he gets a 10-second penalty for corner cutting. What is happening to Alex? Does he have another mechanical problem? Does Alex bad luck continue here in the Spanish Grand Prix, going completely off at turn 1 and cutting the corner, and catches, and now he narrates the lead of the race, and it's once again an absolute heartbreak for Alex. And what happened to Felix? He's down to P10. What has happened to Felix? It's an absolutely terrible start for the two Hases. Now he's going side by side with Don, trying to reclaim P9, but I absolutely have no idea what happened to Alex and what happened to Felix. There was a terrible start. Now Don sends it down the inside, and he's going so slow. What is happening to Felix? Why is he going so slow? Why is he fighting the driver starting last all of a sudden? What has happened? This is the weirdest lap 1 I have ever seen. And we need to understand what has happened to Alex, because it just looked like, just like Silverstone, he went straight on after turn 1. Now the only difference is that in Silverstone he actually crashed into the wall because his brake failed. But what happened here? And again, it looks like it just didn't brake for turn 1. Once again. Now this time he was able to avoid the wall. But he is down in last. And that is absolutely heartbreaking. And we already have a pit stop for Morgan going from the soft to the hard immediately on lap 2. Now I can somewhat try and imagine what happened to Alex, but I have no idea what happened to Felix, honestly. I mean, he got a bad start immediately off the grid and was down to P4 by turn 1, but how did he manage to drop to second to last in pretty much one sector? And he's already looking like he's struggling with the tires. He already have a massive oversteer. Now he's chasing always for P5, but he shouldn't be nowhere near P5. And Don has crashed it! Will we have a safety car? We won't. And that's a bummer. Why has he crashed it? Did he just retire on track? I think he has. Oh yeah, he did. And that might actually be against the rules to retire on track, because it might bring out a safety car for no reason. So that's what happened. No safety car being brought out for no reason. But now this absolute disaster from Haas has made everything for Kart Racer a piece of cake. He's 2 seconds in the lead, very comfortably ahead of the 2 Aston Martins. So now we are on board with Felix, who is chasing Sean for P4 on track. And even if he actually does gain P4, he is gonna have a lots of distance from the top 3. The worst possible start that could ever happen to Haas, to both of their drivers. So now we have Sean leading his train, consisting of himself, Felix, Owais, Bataka, who is also starting on the soft, so he's also gonna be on the 2 stop, and we also have Google River just behind, so that's 5 cars into this train. We had the 2 Aston Martins in the DRS with each other, and then Kart Racer absolutely unbothered into the lead. But Bataka is dropping far away from his teammate. That's 1.1 seconds between Owais and Bataka Joe. So that might be Guga River's chance to use the DRS. He's gonna have to survive these last few corners on those hards against those softs. But now he can finally have a run with DRS on the main straight. Just needs to survive that here. And now he can have a go at it. And also worth mentioning, Guga River was actually the winner on track in the Spanish Grand Prix in Division 2. He won on track, but he had a penalty for speeding in pit lane, so he actually dropped very far from the podium. I don't remember what position, but he was showing great pace both in qualifying and in the race. And he actually was a crucial part in making sure that his teammate Cuco won the Spanish Grand Prix. So he was definitely one of the main protagonists in Division 2. But it doesn't look like to be the same here in Division 1. In P7 on a different strategy in the top 6 ahead of him. But I feel for Alex once again, because only a safety car can save him, realistically. So everything looks to be calm, I would say. Like there's not any major battles. There's not any battles at all. It's just chasing as of now, being in the DRS of one another, and again, it is just so difficult to chase the cars ahead of you. Again, because of dirty air. So I suspect we might not see a lot of action until we get into the pit stop phase. And there's a pit stop for Bazooka. The Williams driver is into the pits, showing why those softs are absolutely unreliable as you could ever ask them to be. And if he's planning to do a one-stop, he's gonna have to drive 25 laps on hards. And I can tell you that even with some management skills, 25 laps on hards, it does get into the puncture range. So I am like 99% sure Bazooka's gonna have to do a two-stop regardless. So yeah, there might be a free position gain for Alex, but really a P9 wasn't what he was looking for. Morgan as well, he wasn't looking for a P8, but his strategy he chose a strategy and he's just ruining his own race for him. So there might still be a P8 for Alex actually. But again, if a safety car doesn't come out, it's pretty much over for him, and really not much, if anything, he can do about this race. And again, that is such a shame to see, especially after Silverstone. So we've now entered lap 10 out of 33, and we are actually not that far from the pit stop phase. The medium runners will definitely be coming into the pits shortly. I'm not gonna say they're gonna come in this lap or even the next lap. I would say either 12 or 13 will be the pit stop lap for the mediums, 14 at most. But some drivers I think they will definitely try an undercut because Dirty Air is slowing down. Oh, Guga River with a massive moment! With a massive oversteer coming out of turn 8 and going almost sideways into the gravel. Had to correct his car multiple times, but he has kept it on track. Lost 2 seconds from always ahead. But that could have ended in tears for Guga River. He was very close to losing complete control of the car and heading into the wall. But he has managed to keep it. But now we can see finally a swap between the Aston Martin teammates. Now it's gonna be Sally with DRS taking P2 from his teammate. Although I don't think there was any team orders. I think it was just the natural way of racing with DRS. He is faster with DRS only because of DRS, so you just let him pass. You don't fight as much. you don't fight at all actually. But that's a third of the race now done. 11 out of 33. And we will see when the top 6 and Alex decide to pit. Or actually, we might already see a pit stop from Sully, because he's been pushing like crazy and he has the pit light indicator on. So we might see the first pit stop of this race coming from Sully, and we don't actually. Yellow flag's been waiting for Morgan, who was almost facing the wrong way, and he has some significant damage on the front wing. We now see Felix making his way up to P2 and 3, so that's some damage limitation to try and recover from the horrible start he had. But again, if he doesn't gain on Cat Tracer, there's really anything he can consider as a victory. Morgan retires in the pit lane, and that's his race done. After that mistake, he decides he does not want to go any further, and it's a DNF for the Red Bull driver into the pit lane. Now Felix has got up to Jeremy, he now has DRS. So now this is a three-way battle for 2 out of 3 podium places. But it's not gonna be a fight that's gonna start now, because we are close to the pit stop phase. We'll see what everyone decides to do. Cat Tracer stays out for one more lap. What do the two Aston Martin drivers decide to do? Will one of them have to stay out for a lap longer, or will they try a double stack? But now we start lap 13. In my opinion, 13 is the absolutely ideal, most optimal lap to pit. I guess we will either get confirmation or oh, Sean going sideways through turn 3. What a save that was! Losing the rear around turn 3, and now I can only imagine that his rear tires are gonna be absolutely smoking from the overheating. And I would be surprised if that doesn't create any domino effect where he just keeps spinning more and more. So Cat Tracer stays out for one more lap, and I think that's Sully coming in. Yes. So Sully will be the first driver strategically to go from the mediums to the hards, as well as Sean Moll. There we go. So that's the undercut, mainly on his teammate rather than the race leader. And this might be interesting, because Aston Martin have decided to put Sully in the pits before Jeremy. Sully, who has attended 3 races, this is his 4th race this season. Jeremy, who is in a championship fight, being P2 in the standings. This might be very interesting indeed. There we go, that's a pit stop for both of them, for both Felix and Jeremy. Obviously Jeremy responds to the undercut from his teammate, and so does Felix. And I do think they will get jumped, because they weren't as fast as they could be. And there we go, Sully is clear of both Jeremy and Felix. It might be more than a second ahead. Let's see, we will get confirmation of that. Much more than a second ahead. That's 1.6 between the two Aston Martins. And going up to 1.8 right now. So it's gonna be once again a fight between Felix and Jeremy. And we're very used to see these two battling it out on track. And not really always with the best results or best feelings. We do know how much of rivals Felix and Jeremy are. And oh, Felix! That was so close. That was a mistake, almost as bad as Google River. Riding the sausage curve too much, and the Haas was going sideways for like half a second. And that was a major Brown moment. For Felix and for myself, I have to say as well. Kart Racer is now into the pit, so he's opting for a slight tire advantage. But it doesn't really matter, he was like 7 seconds in the lead. And Sully is nowhere near catching him. So this might honestly be a walk in the park from Kart Racer. Alex is pitting now. Well, strategically, he's following the same strategy he had decided before the race even started. Oh, he's now saving the 10-second penalty for corner cutting. So just adding meat to the fire. He's only hoping for a safety car, nothing else. So now we can see Sully, Jeremy and Felix battling it out on track. Currently they're just chasing each other. It's Felix against the two Aston Martins, fighting for P2 against both of them. Guga River is in the lead, but he will have to pit later on. There we go, he pits now. So Kart Racer retakes the lead of the race. And it's a battle for P2, 3 and 4 between Sully, Jeremy and Felix. Now Felix is a lot closer to Jeremy than Jeremy is to Sully, and I wouldn't want to say if that's team orders, if that's a strategy maybe from Jeremy, but I think it might be. I think Jeremy, he's just giving it everything to fight only against Felix, while just maintaining touch to his teammate. So it's gonna be a classic fight once again between these two. And just look at how much downforce Felix loses in every single corner. Zone 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna see it a lot more even in Zone 4 right now. Just loses downforce and has to carry and push the car. He also goes deep into the braking and then start out of turning. I mean, it is really one of the toughest challenges on this game to try and manage the dirty air. So there we go, we finally have the second pit stop for Bazooka Joe, going for the 2-stop, just as I predicted. 13 laps on hards. Well, yeah, that's definitely when they start losing grip. That's like very far from the puncture territory I was talking about earlier. Yeah, again, just proving a 2-stop isn't worth it, and that's a free P8 for Alex. So I think he's pretty much just waiting. Oh, Felix now showing himself being more aggressive into Jeremy's mirrors. He tries to pressure me. Actually already battles him, going uphill into turn 11 and 12. They go side by side. This fight is now officially started, and Felix gets pushed off beyond the track limits from Jeremy at the penultimate corner. And I'm not sure how much Felix will be happy about that one. But the fight is now on between these two. And Sully, he's pretty much not doing anything, he's just cruising in P2, but he's giving his teammate a hand in just defending against Felix. Because it will give him DRS, and he will give him a chance to escape, to not get caught up by the DRS. Sean has made a move as always, as he is now in P6. But other than that, it is just a fight for P3. 22. And now 2/3 of the race are done, 22 out of 33 laps. Felix has a massive snap oversteer. just show one, how much the DTR reduces the grip, and two, how difficult it is to manage the tire wear. The rears, especially the left rear, does suffer a lot in this race. So as the race goes on, as the tire wear increases, it gets very difficult to put the power down in a smooth and controllable way. Wow, look at Felix just sail-gating Jeremy and almost rear-ending him in the braking zone. He is staying so close, but he also knows that he can't stay too close because the closer he is, the more the DCR will affect him. Well, just look at how much Felix has sent it under the brakes. It's pretty much the only place on the corner where he gains, because otherwise it just keeps losing so much. Or maybe not losing, but it's not able to gain anywhere else. But now Felix might have a run, look at that. Less than 3/10. He's gaining, he's trying getting all the stream possible, and he shows up into his mirrors and almost sends a dummy. He goes to the inside, Jeremy comes inside, oh, and Jeremy goes low in the middle of the corner, and Felix rear ends him. And I think that might be looked at by the stewards because that looked very suspicious from Jeremy. And he knows that this is one of the main complaints from Felix's side, and now they go wheel to wheel. And now Felix almost get pushed off, and look at this battling, they still banging wheels. But Jeremy stays ahead and is still making contact almost everywhere. And Jeremy is now about to lose the arrest in this battling. Guga River all of a sudden, who is on the alternate strategy, going from the hard to the mediums, and he's gonna carry those mediums to the end. All of a sudden we might see a Ferrari up into P4 if this continues. Well, Felix once again almost risks losing out the car to the DTR. Alright, look at this. We are looking at some Aston Martin team orders. Jeremy and Sully exchange positions. And they know that this is gonna be a problem for Felix. So they're playing the team game. That's 2 versus 1. Now Sully all of a sudden will be the one defending down the inside of zone 5, but Felix tries to outbreak him on the outside and creates much more speed on the outside line. It's a beautiful pass from Felix, who goes up into P3, and now he can go after Jeremy once again. He overtook his teammate with an absolutely amazing move and with so much easiness, but now Jeremy is slowing down all of a sudden and he wants to trick Felix into overtaking him. Just look at how much space he's giving him. He almost trying to invite him to go side by side, and Guga River in the meanwhile has gained close to a second, and suddenly he's now into this fight for the podium on a much fresher tire. Now Sully goes side by side with Felix and almost forces him to go wide beyond the track limits, but now Sully and Guga River go beyond the track limits as well because of the dirty air. Now they all have DRS. Guga River, he has the faster tire out of everyone in this pack, so he might actually be the one who comes out victorious in all of this race. With 5 laps to the end, all of a sudden has come out alive in this fight for P2. Let's see how everything around is. That's a lockup from Sully going deep into top 4, but Guga River isn't able to maximize out of that. And he actually goes even deeper and going even more off the racing line and losing time. So he stays P5 for now. He will gain back in the corners later. Oh no, Guga River gets a 3-second time penalty. The only driver to get track limits penalty in this race. Now he all of a sudden he was into this fight for the podium and for P2. And he has made it a lot harder for himself. Now he's inviting Felix to go side by side. Oh, the main contact, they almost forced Felix, and there's a massive crash around the last corner. Jeremy and Felix make contact, almost forcing Felix to go into the pit lane. And I think Guga River was collected as well, and I think there's some damage for some drivers. That's an end plate missing on Guga River's side. And we are gonna have to watch the replay of that one. So let's see what happens. Jeremy goes very slow around the last corners and invites Felix to go side by side into the penultimate corner. They do go side by side. Now the main contact, they lock wheels, and all of a sudden Felix and Jeremy locking wheels. They swerve to the right, almost into the pit lane. Then they lock off the wheels, so they are back being on their own. But Sully overtakes Jeremy pretty much unconsciously, so Jeremy goes into the back of his teammate, but with really no fault that can be given. It was, I mean, all of the shenanigans, I think it started from Jeremy going slowly, inviting Felix to overtake him. That's what started it all. But the contact itself between the two Aston Martins, it was so random and so casual, because Sully is just making the corner and Jeremy is trying to somewhat rejoin on the normal racing line after making contact with Felix, but he makes contact with Sully, so he goes sideways. Guga River gets collected, hits in the side of Jeremy, and Felix also hits the back of Guga River. And Guga River somehow keeps the car pointing in the right direction, and Jeremy loses out massively. And I do think this fight will be very controversial into the stewards' room. It has been something that has been going on for so many races between Felix and Jeremy, and it still continues the same way. And I can already say that Felix won't be happy about that one in the slightest. Now Jeremy is fighting with Guga River, but Guga has damage and also a penalty, so this might still be a P4 for Jeremy. But now Felix goes up into P2. And what looked like a four-way battle for P2 has resulted in such a controversial crash. And Guga River getting a 3-second, even more 3 seconds added to the time, a time penalty for cutting the corner, and he gives back the position to Jeremy, but he completely misses the breaking point, or maybe he just didn't have downforce to make the corner. So it's also a shame for Guga River because he was fighting for the podium, but the incident he was collected in and the 2 penalties really wasn't what he needed. On the other hand, now Felix has much more of a chance to claim P2 out of this race, just to try and limit the damage of his poor start, because I think that's what caused it all, to have his race ruined. The absolutely horrible start he had on lap 1. So now it's only a 2-way battle for P2 to try and minimize the point loss from Kartracer. Because what Kartracer did was just pretty much... Oh, and Guga River speeds in the pit lane as well. So he's just adding meat to the fire once again. But I was saying, Kartracer just pretty much slipped through the mistakes of both Haases, stayed in the lead, and was just never challenged once. And we are on the penultimate lap. Actually, we are on the last lap as Kartracer now driving on his own for 31 laps, or I would say, he took off the lead immediately on lap 1 with the mistakes from the Haase, so we could say he drove on his own for 33 laps straight. But there is still a battle going on between Felix and Sully. On the last lap, Sully has DRS, but is not close enough to try and get close to him. Yellow flags for Guga River, down to last place now in P9. Now Felix is trying everything he can to defend from Sully, but I don't think we will be seeing any moves. And Kartracer now, he is going around turn 10. He had a 34 points gap into this race, and at the moment it looked like this 34 points gap will go up into 46, but we are yet to see if any penalties will be given. But Kartracer absolutely cruises peacefully his way home to a win here in Spain, and Sully was not able to get the run he needed on Felix. He just got close, but never enough to make a move happen. So that's gonna mean that Felix, despite his horrible start, he started in P2 and he reclaimed P2 after that mistake, and he just limits the damage, he limits the point loss from Felix. So Sully, I think he can be very happy to bring a podium after his in this particular season he's having not attending as much. So that's 2 podiums out of 4 races he's attended. Jeremy in P4, but we are yet to see if penalties will be given because of that fight, and many fights he had with Felix in this race. So Sean in P5, potentially up in P4 if penalties will be given. And there we go. For 2/3 it's a German podium, but now we are finally seeing a familiar Italian name on the podium. That's in P3, but Kartracer lifts his trophy with absolutely no competition at all today. with this all-time rival Felix just in P2. He gets the driver of the day by the game, and most overtakes, makes sense. Always cleanest driver, and Catracer actually takes the full points, even with the fastest stuff. So that's 26 for the McLaren driver. Absolutely nothing could stop him today. Going from P3 all the way to a race win. Felix defends his P2, recovering all the way. Sully in P3, Jeremy provisionally in P4, Sean in P5, always with a very respectable P6. And the Pole Sitter Alex, once again, being very haunted. I'm still suspecting it might be his brake pedal. So again, very, very heartbroken for Alex, honestly. He definitely deserves better and can do better, but that's the toughest point of his season in here, and I can just absolutely feel for the guy. Season is still long, but yeah, this will really, really take a toll on him. So for the rest of the results, that's Bazooka with 4 points P8, Guga River in P9, and Morgan even with the DNF with 1 single point. So yeah, that was a Haas 1-2 in qualifying, completely down the toilet, and Catracer just very easily extends his lead in the standings. So that was the Spanish Grand Prix. Not gonna lie, it was very boring, but it just came alive in the last 5 laps. So that was at least something. But next week we are gonna be hosting the 9th race of the season. So that's gonna be the end of the first half of the season, and it's gonna be one heck of a race. Probably the most interesting race in the entire calendar, because that's the Mystery Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. We are gonna be using a randomizer to try and sort out a random track out of the ones that are not on the calendar. And since we are having 18 races, the poll for the tracks that will be sorted out is much smaller. And I will go over the 10 tracks that will have a chance for Division 2 to be randomized, because the track that will happen to be in Division 2 will be scrapped. So Division 1 will only have 9 races to choose, quote unquote choose. But anyway, the poll consists of Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, that's Jeddah. So Bahrain, Jeddah, Miami, Austria, Monza, Baku, Vegas, and then the 3 reverse tracks: reverse Austria, reverse Silverstone, and reverse Zandvoort. So just before the race starts, approximately like 15 minutes before the race starts, one of these 10 tracks will be announced for Division 2, and we are gonna do the same for Division 1 next week on Saturday at the same time as always, 7:30 PM UK. So I expect you to be back on the F1 Total YouTube channel for the Division 2 Mystery Grand Prix on Wednesday. So thank you for watching, and we will see you next week for the Mystery Grand Prix.